Okay, so we're ready to...
Any question?
Okay, so we're taking questions. Anybody from this morning's program? We have the microphone, the mobile microphone. Okay, I think Paul Hui has a question.
Bhante, I just have a very simple question. What's the rightness in wholesome qualities? I didn't get it. What are those wholesome qualities?
I think that they would be the factors that of the Noble Eightfold Path, the 8 factors, and probably all of the maybe 37 Bodhi aids to enlightenment, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the 4 right efforts. Let me see if the commentary says anything about that. This machine is not on, so. No, it just has it just repeats the word kusalesu dhammesu. But I'm pretty sure that it would be things like the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the 4 right efforts, the 5 faculties, 5 powers, 7 enlightenment, 7 factors of enlightenment, 8 factors of the Noble Path. Okay, any? Okay, Carolyn.
Bhante, I was thinking about Angulimala,
Yeah.
and how if the Buddha had given up on him,
Yeah.
like here came this great monk, somebody that had done terrible deeds, a
Yeah.
serial killer, and just going over the whole thing associated with and so on, right speech, that this is just Carolyn's
Yeah.
perspective, that sometimes, in my case all the time, somebody deserves a chance, like you just don't know. Look at Angulimala. I mean, somebody that took the fingers off hundreds and
Yeah, of course.
killed people.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you never know. You need discerning wisdom to know the right time to go to someone.
Yeah.
But
So it's only a Buddha who could really know very deeply and to see very deeply into
right,
perfect accuracy. Yeah.
but everybody has some good quality. And I don't know, it's a discourse of 5 ways to put an end to anger. And I don't know where that comes from. But, some people have unkind speech, unskillful ways,
Yeah.
but there's something still right with them.
Mm-hmm.
And just by going to that person with a heart of loving kindness, people transform. I personally see
of course,
this
that's true, yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just to give somebody that chance.
Mm-hmm.
And who would I be to stand in judgment of somebody and think somebody's inferior or I'm superior to somebody? That would give such a pain in the heart. That everybody deserves loving kindness and a chance. That's Carolyn's thought. There is no question.
Okay. How about our young monks from... If you have a question, feel welcome to ask. Do you have a question? Okay. Osman?
Bhante, to go back to the sutta about the person that does not have to see the Tathagata in order to gain deliverance. Would a Bodhisattva be one of those persons also?
Who doesn't have to see that? Yeah, actually, you see, in his last existence, the Bodhisattva doesn't see a Buddha and doesn't hear the Dhamma from anybody. So he is one of those who enters upon the fixed course of rightness without depending upon the teaching, the sight of the Buddha or the teaching of a Buddha. But of course, Bodhisattvas in their previous lives have met the Buddhas countless times. So they have all of those seeds in the mind. But this is really talking about the sutta, I think, about what takes place in the present.
Yes.
And so in the present, a Bodhisattva doesn't rely on the teaching of a Buddha to achieve the opening of enlightenment.
Plus the Pacceka Buddha,
Yeah.
before he becomes a Pacceka Buddha, is he also considered a Bodhisattva?
There's actually an expression that comes in the Pali commentaries. They call it the Pacceka Bodhisattva. Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. So we find this especially in the, we find it often in the commentary to the Tiki-nipāta. There's a sutta in the Tiki-nipāta called the Discourse on the Rhinoceros Horn. And all of those, the sutta consists of about 41 verses, which are supposed to have been spoken by bodhisattvas. But that isn't mentioned in the sutta itself. The sutta itself just has the verses, but it doesn't say who is speaking them. But the commentary says that each of these verses is spoken by a bodhisattva. Then it gives the story about how that bodhisattva, that Pacceka bodhisattva, achieved enlightenment. And it uses the expression Pacceka bodhisattva. So they call it Sabanyu bodhisattva. That is a bodhisattva who's going to achieve omniscience as a perfectly enlightened Buddha. And then Pacceka bodhisattva, one who is in preparation to achieve enlightenment as a Pacceka Buddha.
Thanks, Bhante.
Excuse me?
I said thanks, Bhante.
Oh. Yeah, please. Your name again? I don't remember. Your name again?
Stephanie.
Stephanie, that's right.
This was a small little part of what you have discussed today, and it's about animals.
Yeah.
And that sometimes I would look into another one of my dog's eyes, and I would feel
Yeah, put the
that
microphone closer.
that dog had incredible kindness
Yeah.
and unending compassion. And I wonder about animals that have the ability to pick up on people's feelings and their vibrations,
Yeah.
and why they are imbued with that special ability, and where that puts them in the levels that they're beneath people. When some animals seem to be kinder than many
Oh, yeah,
humans.
that is, of course, that's very true, yeah. I mean, for the most part, the animal realm, it's a realm of great trouble and of a lot of pain and suffering, because animals out in the wild are involved in a constant struggle for survival, competition for survival, brute competition for survival. And there's sort of the law of the animal realm is eating one another and the stronger eating the weak. But it seems that there's great variation in the karma that brings beings into the animal realm. And so though animal birth is always considered the result of an unwholesome karma, but probably many animals have storage of wholesome karma, which will bring them into good living conditions after they become an animal. And then probably they'll have accumulations of good qualities from the time that they were human beings, and those good qualities will carry through into their animal existence. So that's why some animals can be very gentle, very affectionate. Even we read about dogs, sometimes that have been living with the family, and if, say, the house, the family home gets on fire, and there's a little child or a baby left behind, the dog will even risk its own life to save the life of the child. Yeah, so many animals have better qualities than human beings. In fact, there's a passage in a sutta, it's in the Majjhima Nikaya, I think it's sutta number 51, I think. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, basically it says, to put it simply, that animals can be sort of straightforward and open and honest and clear, whereas human beings are crooked, deceitful, dishonest, scheming. And they say they do one thing with the body, utter something else with speech, while they're thinking something completely different in their mind. Correct? Okay, any further questions? Yes? Your name is?
Hi, I'm Thomas.
Thomas, yeah.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah.
My question may not be relevant to what was taught earlier, but it's really to seek clarification. Our Dhamma brother mentioned earlier about Pratika Bodhisattva.
Yeah.
I would like to ask, when you mentioned the Pratika Bodhisattva attains enlightenment, how different is this realization?
How what?
How different is this enlightenment or realization different from a bodhisattva that we commonly known in Mahayana?
Yeah.
And what's the difference in the path of practice between the practical bodhisattva and bodhisattva,
Yeah.
so that we can draw inspiration and be motivated in our practice? You know, what's the practice between the two?
Yeah, it's a very big question, which really takes almost like a whole course to cover. But basically, okay, the Pacceka Bodhisattva and the Sammasambuddha, their enlightenment, let's say the essence of their enlightenment is the same, the principles are the same. But a Sammasambuddha, fully enlightened Buddha, it realizes many, many more principles, and all of the sort of the different implications and nuances of the Dhamma, because the Buddha has to be able to teach the Dhamma to the world and to be able to make the Dhamma teaching meaningful, acceptable, comprehensible to people with many, many different levels of understanding, dispositions. So a fully enlightened Buddha, along with his enlightenment, gains all of these, let's say, multiple types of knowledges and superpowers that come along with it. Whereas the Pacceka Buddha penetrates the essence of the Dhamma, but doesn't gain all of these accessory types of knowledge.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah, that's just in a nutshell.
My question is also about Pacceka Bodhisattva. Isn't the term itself an oxymoron? The term Pacceka Bodhisattva itself is an oxymoron.
In what way?
In the way that if you're a Pacceka, you cannot be a Bodhisattva unless we're referring to someone who started the training as a Bodhisattva and failed and decided not to go through the Bodhisattva path. Otherwise, how can that Bodhisattva become a Pacceka?
Okay, that's because the word Bodhisattva is being used here. I think you're bringing in the understanding of a Bodhisattva as being the candidate for the full enlightenment of Buddhahood, in which case then Pacceka Bodhisattva sounds like an oxymoron, a self-contradictory expression. But I think the commentary is using the expression Bodhisattva in the sense of a being who is intent on any level of enlightenment, whether it be that of a Pacceka Buddha or a Sammasambuddha. And so one who is seeking enlightenment, or let's say one who is in the preparatory stage and is going to achieve enlightenment as a Pacceka Buddha is called in that preparatory stage a Pacceka Bodhisattva. But he's not a being who's a Bodhisattva in the sense of one who's on the way to the full enlightenment of Buddhahood.
So what is the definition of Bodhisattva in the Pali tradition? Because that totally defies my understanding of what Bodhisattva means.
I would say probably that they're thinking of a Bodhisattva as one who is intent upon Bodhi as enlightenment, but there are different degrees of enlightenment, different realizations of enlightenment. So one is the Bodhi that's realized by a disciple of the Buddha, like Sariputta, Moggallana, Mahakassapa, Ananda. So that would be, I think the commentaries call that Savaka Bodhi, the enlightenment of a disciple. Then there's the Pacceka Bodhi, that's the enlightenment attained by a Pacceka Buddha. And then there's the Sammasambodhi, Anguttara Sammasambodhi. That's the enlightenment realized by a fully enlightened Buddha. Okay, so there are three kinds of enlightenment, or three grades of enlightenment. And then people in the preliminary stage leading to each of those types of enlightenment would be called bodhisattvas. So even, I think the sub-commentaries use the expression, maybe it's Savaka Bodhisattva. Let me see if I can get that. We do have, yeah. Let's see. Okay, so it says this is undertaken in reference to a Savaka Bodhisattva in his last existence. Okay, one occurrence. Okay, so it says that, so first the writer is saying this is okay, why is it that some Sammasambuddhas arise only in Jambudvipa, that's India? So some say that because okay, the Bodhimanda Bhumi, that's the place where the enlightenment takes place, is only in Jambudvipa. Therefore, they arise only in Jambudvipa. And this gets rather complicated. But anyway, you could see that it uses the expression that Pacceka Bodhisattvas, and it says that their undertaking or preparation for the Savaka Bodhi, for enlightenment as a disciple, their accumulation of the paramis of a Sravaka, their ripening, and is recognized only in Jambudvipa, only in India, not otherwise. Yes, you can see again and again the commentaries are using the expression Savaka Bodhisattva for those who are intent on or preparing to achieve enlightenment as disciples of the Buddha. And then there's Pacceka Bodhisattvas, those who are going to achieve enlightenment as Pacceka Buddhas. And then what are called the Maha Bodhisattvas, or sometimes Sabanyu Bodhisattvas, those who are going to achieve enlightenment as fully enlightened Buddhas. What is that? Is there a threshold? As a Savaka Bodhisattva? Yeah, I don't know. It might be something that might be discussed somewhere, like all of these kind of discussions take place not even so much in the level of the commentaries, but the next level of the sub-commentaries. So, as the literature develops, then the discussions become more and more intricate and they go into more complex matters. And I think that there's quite a lot of influence, by the way, from the Yogacara school, one of the Mahayana schools, on the development of thought in the Pali sub-commentaries about these different stages of enlightenment and the different preparations to reach any of these stages. Okay, this is a rather sort of intricate matter. But I think what's important from the practical standpoint is one forms one's aspiration, if one wants to fix an aspiration, and then one starts practicing the paramis or paramitas and lets things unfold naturally. Okay, any further questions? Okay, then we'll end for the day. And we'll have another class again next Saturday. Okay, so we'll end with 3 half bows to the Buddha.